Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make Gingernuts, or crunchy ginger biscuits. These are very popular in the UK. They come in packets. McVitie's make them, and I think some of the supermarkets have their own brands as well. But very nice biscuits, and very simple to make. So this is a quick and easy recipe, and it starts off by preheating the oven to 190 Celsius or 170 Celsius with a fan, 375 Fahrenheit, and line a couple of baking trays with parchment paper. So I'm just going to do a small recipe which makes about 16 of these ginger nut biscuits. You can increase the recipe any way you want to make as many as you want. So I'll go on to the ingredients, and for this I have 110 grams of plain flour. That's 2/3 of a cup plus 1 tablespoon. That's based on scooping packed flour into a 250 milliliter cup. I have 50 grams, 3.5 tablespoons of unsalted butter, which is cold and I've cubed it. I have 40 grams, 3.5 tablespoons of caster sugar. You could use granulated sugar. I have 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1.5 teaspoons of ground ginger. I also have 50 grams, which is about 2 tablespoons of golden syrup. If you don't have golden syrup, you could use corn syrup, or you could use honey. And we're simply going to mix the ingredients together, divide it into 16, roll it into balls. So the first thing I'm going to do is to put all the dry ingredients into the flour and give those a mix around. And I'm going to do most of the process in the bowl of my immersion blender, just because it makes it that little bit quicker. So with all the dry ingredients in a single bowl, I'll give those a stir around. They'll get mixed more in the blender, of course. So I tip that in to my immersion blender, and then I'm going to put the butter on the top, and I'm simply going to blitz this until it just begins to come together in a sort of crumbly type mixture. So that mixture has fully incorporated. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tip that back into the original bowl that had the flour in, and I'm going to use the golden syrup to make it into a paste. So I'll tip my golden syrup in, and then I'm just going to mix that around until I get it into a nice thick paste. And this should be enough liquid to incorporate it completely. And then I'm going to put my hand in and mix it. And as you can see, that easily comes into a paste just with a little bit of squeezing. So what I need to do is to divide that into 16 pieces. So I'm going to form it into a sort of rectangle, and you want the pieces to be roughly equal in size. And I think each piece ought to probably be about 16 grams in weight. So there's 16 grams, and I'm going to form that into a ball, and I'm going to put it onto my baking sheet and do the same with the remainder. So there I have my 16, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to press down on them to flatten them just a little bit, just like that, and then I'm going to put those into the oven, and I'm going to bake them for between 12 and 15 minutes. They should spread and flatten more as they bake, and hopefully they'll have a nice cracked appearance on the top as well. And once they've baked, I'm going to take them out, and if they've cracked, they should just about be ready. But once they've baked, I take them out and allow them to cool on the trays for about 10 minutes. Then I transfer them to a wire rack to cool completely, and when they've cooled completely, I'll come back and show you the results. I baked the ginger nut biscuits for 15 minutes, and then I took them out of the oven and allowed them to cool for a few minutes, 5, 6, 7 minutes on the baking trays. Then I transferred them to a wire rack to cool completely, and they baked quite nicely. This is what they look like. So they've cracked nicely, and they have quite a good texture to them, and they're going to be nice and crunchy. So I'll have a taste of one, which I'll just break it in half. So you can probably hear they're nice and crunchy and have that lovely hit of ginger. Very, very good indeed. I should say that the amount of ginger you use is a little bit up to you. It depends on how strong you like your biscuits. I used 1.5 teaspoons, which is enough for me. Very, very good. So these are ideal with a cup of tea, and probably with a cup of coffee as well if you drink coffee. So that's going to be it for this recipe, and I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you have, please give me the thumbs up below the video and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, which will take you to this recipe, and I'll put a link for it below the video as well. And I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.